Okay, so if you follow tech at all, you have definitely noticed this huge wave of open source AI coming out of China. It kind of feels like it happened overnight, right? But the real story here is so much deeper. And believe it or not, it didn't start with AI. Let's dig in.
I mean, it really feels like the AI world just got hit by this massive storm of powerful open-weight models. All of a sudden, names like DeepSeek, Quinn, and Kimi are just everywhere, topping leaderboards, driving innovation. So the big question on everyone's mind is, where did this all come from? How did this happen so fast? Right, this whole moment feels like a shockwave, a surge that just seemed to appear out of thin air. But trust me, this story has some seriously deep roots. But here's the thing. To really understand what's happening today, we have to realize this story doesn't actually start with AI at all. Not even close. We need to rewind the clock. We're talking about 2 decades back, long before AI was the only thing anyone talked about.
Our story really kicks off with Alibaba, one of China's original tech giants. But their whole journey into open source wasn't born from some grand, futuristic vision. No, it was about solving a massive, expensive, and really urgent problem. It was about survival.
So back in the 2000s, if you were a serious tech company, there was really only one way to build your infrastructure. It was called the IOE stack. That's IBM for your big servers, Oracle for your database, and EMC for your storage. It was the gold standard, the default choice. And yeah, Alibaba was built on it too. But here was the problem. Alibaba was growing like a wildfire, and that beautiful IOE stock was becoming incredibly expensive, but even worse, it just couldn't keep up with their growth. They were hitting the absolute limits of what this gold standard tech could do. They were forced to find a totally radical alternative, and that alternative was open source. So in 2008, they launched this thing called a de-IOE campaign, and let me tell you, it was a brutal 5-year-long battle. They had to rip out the entire foundation of their company and replace it with open source software. It was painful. A ton of people inside the company thought they were crazy. But by 2013, they had actually pulled it off. This success story basically became the founding myth of Chinese open source, and it planted the seeds for what would later become Alibaba Cloud. Okay, so Alibaba sets this massive corporate precedent. But the next chapter of our story moves out of the boardroom and onto the ground. It's a shift from a top-down business need to a real bottom-up grassroots movement. This is where a truly unique developer subculture starts to form. And this community really blossomed in 2 key places. First, of course, was GitHub, the global home for open source. By 2018, developers from China were the second largest group of users on the entire platform. But they also built their own spaces, like Kaiyuanshe, which is basically a volunteer-driven, vendor-neutral, open-source society designed to teach the norms of collaboration. And this is where it gets really interesting, because the community starts to develop its own personality. They even came up with their own unofficial holiday, October 24th, or 1024. Why? Well, 1024 is 2 to the 10th power. It's this perfect little inside joke for anyone who codes. It started completely from the bottom up and just shows you the quirky, passionate side of this culture. But it wasn't all fun and games. In 2019, a project on GitHub called 996.icu went absolutely viral. It was a piece of dark humor. Work from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 6 days a week, and you'll end up in the ICU. By using GitHub, this open, global platform, the project sparked a really serious international conversation about labor rights in the tech industry. So you have this really unique mix of grassroots passion, serious advocacy, and incredible technical skill. And all of that forged a distinct open source ethos. It was this genuine belief in open collaboration, but also this real powerful drive to prove themselves on the world stage. And that ethos is exactly what fueled the next phase, a huge shift from just consuming open source to creating really ambitious, world-class projects. And for one company in particular, open source became a tool for pure survival. So around the mid-2010s, you started to see this new wave of venture-backed startups, companies like PainCap, who created the TDB database. What was different was that they weren't just building for their local market. From day one, they had global ambitions. It signaled a whole new level of confidence in the ecosystem. Then came this date, May 15th, 2019. For China's biggest tech champion, Huawei. This was the day their entire world changed. It was the day they were placed on a U.S. trade blacklist. The effect was immediate, and it was devastating. Huawei was cut off from Google's Android ecosystem from critical U.S. chips. And just like that,
Open source went from being a smart strategy to an absolute existential necessity. They activated their Plan B projects and just decided to open source everything, their operating system, their database, the whole shebang, to try and build a completely new independent ecosystem out in the open.
And that brings us right back to today. All of this history, the practical experience from Alibaba, the community ethos from the grassroots movement, and the survival instinct from Huawei, all of it came together and laid the exact groundwork for the AI explosion we're seeing right now. And if you need a single data point to see just how much things have changed, look at this. By late 2022, the single largest contributor to the Linux kernel, the core of most of the world's computing, wasn't Intel, it was Huawei. I mean, that's just such a powerful visual of the shift from being a consumer to being a leader. And all that groundwork really paid off. It's what led to models like DeepSeek, which wasn't just technically impressive, it was released with a perfect open source playbook, a permissive license, a ton of transparency, and deep community engagement. They knew exactly what they were doing. It led to Alibaba's Qwen models. They were released early and often with a great license, building directly on that long company history with open source.
And it led to models from companies like Kimi, where the founder personally went on Reddit to talk directly with the global developer community in English. I mean, that just signals a whole new era of confidence.
So here's the most crucial point. These were not just random code drops. The success of these AI models isn't just about how powerful they are. It's about the sophisticated licensing, the brilliant community management, and the launch strategies, all of it built on lessons learned over the last 20 years.
Okay, so we have covered a lot of ground here, from a single company's IT problems all the way to a global AI movement. Let's pull it all together and talk about why this history is so important right now.
So, what does this all mean? First, this overnight success was really a 2-decade evolution. Second, the movement grew organically from real business needs and real community passion, not some top-down government plan. Third, open source is now the key talent pipeline for China's entire tech sector. And finally, it's become an absolutely crucial strategy from any Chinese tech company that wants to expand globally.
Which brings us to one final big question. This whole incredible story shows how one ecosystem was able to absorb, adapt, and eventually start leading the way in building open technologies. So as we look to the future of AI and everything else, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Who's going to build the next open foundation for the world? Note, this explainer is for reference only. Take this further. I'm genuinely excited to see what you discover. Drop any topics you'd like to see covered, leave a rating, and subscribe if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching. Until next time.